Black CEOs in the crossfire, unmasking the hidden battle for equity in America. Welcome to a journey that will challenge your perceptions, stir your emotions, and ignite a fire for change within you. Today, we're delving into a truth that's been hidden in plain sight for far too long. The fact that black CEOs are and have always been in the crosshairs of inequity when it comes to state and federal agency procurement contracts. I'm honored to share with you the profound insights and experiences of Connie Johnson, a visionary leader whose tireless work has illuminated the ongoing struggles faced by black CEOs in America. Connie's unwavering commitment to equity and justice in the business world has not only opened eyes, but has also paved the way for meaningful change. Her courage in speaking truth to power and her relentless pursuit of fairness have made her a beacon of hope for countless entrepreneurs and a formidable force in the fight against systemic racism in the business world. As I sat across from Connie, listening to her speak with raw passion and unyielding conviction, I felt a whirlwind of emotions, anger at the injustices she described, hope for the change she envisions, and a deep sense of responsibility to amplify her message. Her words painted a vivid picture of a reality that many of us may not fully comprehend, the persistent, often invisible barriers that black CEOs face in the realm of state and federal agency procurement contracts. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a world where opportunity truly is equal, where the color of your skin doesn't determine your access to contracts, to funding, to success. Can you see it? Can you feel it? That world is possible, but only if we're brave enough to confront the harsh reality of where we are now. The story Connie shared isn't new. It's a narrative that stretches back through time, echoing the traumatic events of Black Wall Street and the unconstitutional violations against black businesses and election board members in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898. Today, we face a new incarnation of these challenges in the form of DEI abuses. Let's take a moment to consider the historical context. The events of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 represent a pivotal moment where a thriving black community was systematically destroyed, its wealth stripped away, its progress halted. Imagine the vibrant streets of the Greenwood district, known as Black Wall Street, bustling with successful black-owned businesses, hotels, restaurants, grocery stores, movie theaters. Picture the pride and prosperity of a community that had built itself up from nothing, defying the odds in a segregated America. Now, imagine the horror of June 1st, 1921. The sky filled with smoke, the air pierced by gunshots and screams. Over 35 blocks of black-owned businesses and homes were burned to the ground. Hundreds of black lives were lost. The destruction was not just physical, it was a deliberate erasure of black economic power and progress. Fast forward to today. While we no longer see such overt acts of violence, the spirit of suppression lives on in more subtle, insidious forms. Connie shared a story that brings this reality into sharp focus. She told me about Marcus, a brilliant black entrepreneur who had built a thriving tech company from the ground up. His innovative software solutions had caught the attention of several state agencies, and he was poised to secure a major contract that would have catapulted his business to new heights. Marcus spent months preparing his bid, investing countless hours and resources to ensure his proposal was flawless. He knew his company could deliver superior results at a competitive price. The day of the decision arrived, and Marcus was confident. But the contract went to a larger, well-established firm, one with a predominantly white leadership team and a long history of securing government contracts. When Marcus sought feedback, he was met with vague responses about fit and experience. It wasn't until months later, through an informal conversation with an insider, that Marcus learned the truth. Despite his superior proposal, there had been concerns about his company's capacity to handle such a large contract. The decision makers, consciously or unconsciously, couldn't picture a black-owned business successfully managing a project of this scale. This story isn't unique. It's a pattern that repeats itself across industries, across the country. It's a modern-day echo of the systemic suppression of black economic power that we saw in Tulsa and Wilmington. But here's the thing. Acknowledging this history isn't about dwelling in the past or assigning blame. It's about understanding the roots of our current challenges so that we can address them more effectively. It's about recognizing that the playing field has never been level and that true equity requires more than just equal opportunity. It demands active efforts to correct historical imbalances. As Connie explained, the Constitution of the United States, the very foundation of our democracy, is meant to protect the educational and economic laws and statutes that have been established. It's designed to safeguard the rights of all citizens, including those who have been historically denied due to economic infringements. Yet here we are in 2023, still grappling with systemic inequities that seem to defy the very principles our nation was built upon. The question that kept echoing in my mind as I spoke with Connie was, how can this still be happening? The answer lies in the complex web of historical injustices, unconscious biases, and systemic barriers that continue to plague our society. It's a reality that's often uncomfortable to confront, but one that we must face head on if we truly want to create change. Today, Black CEOs face a new set of challenges in the form of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion abuses. Now, you might be wondering, how can DEI, which is meant to promote inclusivity, be a source of abuse? It's a fair question and one that Connie addressed with remarkable clarity. The issue lies not in the concept of DEI itself, but in its implementation. Too often, DEI initiatives become tick box exercises, superficial attempts at inclusivity that fail to address the deeper systemic issues at play. In some cases, they can even become tools for tokenism, used to create an illusion of progress while maintaining the status quo. Connie shared another story that illustrates this point. She told me about Aisha, a successful Black CEO who runs a consulting firm specializing in sustainable energy solutions. Aisha's company had been invited to participate in a high-profile energy project for a major city. The project leaders touted their commitment to diversity and inclusion, prominently featuring Aisha's company in their promotional materials. However, as the project progressed, Aisha found herself consistently sidelined. Her expertise was sought for photo ops and press releases, but when it came to critical decision-making meetings, she was often accidentally left off the invite list. Her suggestions were politely acknowledged, but rarely implemented. It became clear that her company's involvement was more about optics than genuine inclusion. This is the face of modern DEI abuse, the use of Black-owned businesses as window dressing, while the real opportunities and decision-making power remain firmly in the hands of the established, predominantly white-owned companies. Real DEI, as Connie emphasized, goes beyond mere representation. It's about creating genuine opportunities for Black-owned businesses to compete on an equal footing. It's about dismantling the invisible barriers that prevent Black CEOs from accessing the same resources, networks, and opportunities as their white counterparts. As I absorbed Connie's words, I found myself grappling with a profound sense of cognitive dissonance. How can we, as a society that prides itself on fairness and equal opportunity, continue to perpetuate such glaring inequities? How can we reconcile our ideals with the stark realities faced by Black CEOs every day? The answer, I believe, lies in our willingness to confront these uncomfortable truths, to acknowledge that despite our progress, we still have a long way to go, to recognize that equity isn't just about treating everyone the same. It's about providing the support and resources necessary to level a playing field that has been uneven for generations. The procurement process for state and federal contracts is a prime example of this ongoing inequity. These contracts represent significant economic opportunities, often serving as stepping stones for businesses to grow and thrive. Yet, as Connie pointed out, Black-owned businesses continue to face disproportionate challenges in securing these contracts. She shared a statistic that stopped me in my tracks. Despite making up about 13% of the U.S. population, Black-owned businesses receive only about 1.67% of federal contracts. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just a slight discrepancy, it's a chasm of inequality. The reasons for this are multifaceted. They range from lack of access to information and networks to biased evaluation processes to the simple fact that many Black-owned businesses lack the capital and resources to compete with larger, more established firms. These barriers aren't always visible, but their impact is profound and far-reaching. Connie told me about James, a Black CEO who runs a successful IT services company. James had spent years building his business, consistently delivering high-quality work for private sector clients. When he decided to pursue government contracts, he was confident in his company's capabilities. However, James quickly found himself facing an uphill battle. The application process was complex and time-consuming, requiring resources that stretched his small business thin. When he sought guidance, he found that many of the informal networks and mentorship opportunities that could have helped him navigate the process were largely inaccessible to him. Even when James managed to submit competitive bids, he often lost out to larger companies with long-standing relationships in the government sector. The feedback he received was often vague, leaving him unsure how to improve his chances in future bids. James's story is not unique. It's a pattern repeated across industries, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of exclusion. Without access to these lucrative contracts, Black-owned businesses struggle to grow to the scale necessary to be competitive for future opportunities. As I listened to Connie detail these challenges, I couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. We're not just talking about abstract concepts or distant injustices. We're talking about real people, real businesses, real dreams being deferred or denied because of a system that continues to perpetuate inequality. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. Connie's message wasn't one of despair, far from it. Despite the challenges she described, her words were infused with a sense of hope, of determination, of unwavering belief in the possibility of change. And that's what I want to focus on now. Because while it's important to understand and acknowledge the problems we face, it's equally important, if not more so, to focus on solutions, to channel our anger, our frustration, our discomfort into positive action. Connie shared several key insights that I believe can serve as a roadmap for creating real lasting change. First and foremost, she emphasized the importance of education and awareness. Many people, she pointed out, simply aren't aware of the extent of the challenges faced by Black CEOs. By sharing these stories, by making these invisible barriers visible, we can begin to shift perceptions and build a broader base of support for change. Secondly, Connie stressed the need for systemic reform. This isn't about quick fixes or band-aid solutions. It's about reimagining our procurement processes, our funding mechanisms, our entire approach to economic opportunity. It's about creating systems that are truly equitable, that actively work to level the playing field rather than perpetuating existing inequalities. She shared an example of a promising initiative in this direction. A state government had implemented a program that provided intensive support and mentorship to Black-owned businesses interested in securing government contracts. The program offered guidance on navigating the bidding process, connected businesses with experienced mentors, and provided access to capital to help them scale up to meet contract requirements. The results were remarkable. Within 2 years, the number of state contracts awarded to Black-owned businesses in that state had tripled. More importantly, these businesses were able to leverage their government work to secure larger private sector contracts, fueling a cycle of growth and success. This example shows us what's possible when we move beyond tokenism and commit to real, substantive change. It's not about lowering standards or giving handouts. It's about removing artificial barriers and creating genuine opportunities for talented entrepreneurs to compete on a level playing field. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, Connie talked about the power of collective action. No single individual or organization can solve these problems alone. It requires a concerted effort from all sectors of society, from policymakers and business leaders to community organizations and individual citizens. She told me about a coalition that had formed in a major city, bringing together Black business owners, community leaders, local government officials, and representatives from major corporations. This coalition wasn't just about talk. They set concrete goals, developed actionable strategies, and held each other accountable for progress. One of the initiatives was a mentorship program that paired established businesses with up-and-coming Black-owned firms. Ta-da. But this wasn't just about advice. The program included concrete commitments from larger companies to subcontract a portion of their government work to these smaller firms, helping them build the track record and capacity needed to compete for contracts on their own. Another initiative focused on transparency and accountability in the procurement process. They worked with local government agencies to implement blind review processes for initial bid evaluations, reducing the potential for unconscious bias. They also pushed for more detailed feedback for unsuccessful bids, helping businesses understand exactly where they fell short and how they could improve. These efforts are beginning to bear fruit. In just 2 years, they've seen a 40% increase in the number of Black-owned businesses successfully bidding on government contracts in their city. More importantly, they're changing the narrative, showing that when given a fair chance, Black-owned businesses can compete and excel at the highest levels. As I reflect on my conversation with Connie, I'm reminded of a quote by the great civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Those words resonate deeply with the message Connie shared. Yes, the challenges we face are significant. Yes, the injustices are real and painful, but so too is our capacity for change, our ability to come together and create a more equitable world. So, where do we go from here? How do we take these insights, this awareness, and transform it into meaningful action? It starts with each of us, with our willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, to challenge our own assumptions and biases. It starts with educating ourselves and others about the realities faced by Black CEOs and Black owned businesses. For those in positions of power, whether in government, in corporations, or in community organizations, it means taking a hard look at your processes and policies. Are they truly equitable? Are they actively working to level the playing field? Or are they inadvertently perpetuating existing inequalities? For entrepreneurs and business leaders, it means seeking out and supporting Black owned businesses. It means using your platforms and your influence to amplify their voices and create opportunities for collaboration and growth. For policymakers, it means crafting legislation that addresses these systemic inequities head on. It means creating accountability measures to ensure that DEI initiatives deliver real measurable results. And for all of us, it means staying engaged, staying informed, and staying committed to this fight for equity and justice. Because make no mistake, this is a fight against entrenched systems, against unconscious biases, against the inertia of the status quo. But it's a fight worth having because on the other side of this struggle lies a world of possibility, a world where talent and hard work are the only determinants of success, a world where the color of your skin doesn't dictate your economic opportunities, a world where the promise of our Constitution of equal rights and equal opportunities for all is finally fully realized. As we come to the end of this talk, I want to leave you with a challenge, a call to action inspired by the powerful insights Connie Johnson shared with me. I challenge each of you to take one concrete step towards promoting equity for Black CEOs and Black owned businesses. Maybe it's educating yourself further on these issues. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation with a colleague or friend about unconscious bias. Maybe it's actively seeking out and supporting Black owned businesses in your community. But don't stop there. I challenge you to think bigger, to be bolder. If you're in a position of influence in your organization, push for concrete changes in hiring and procurement practices. If you're an entrepreneur, consider how you can mentor or partner with Black owned businesses. If you're a consumer, make a conscious effort to direct more of your spending towards Black owned businesses. And to the Black entrepreneurs and CEOs listening, your perseverance, your innovation, your success in the face of systemic challenges is nothing short of heroic. But you shouldn't have to be heroic just to have a fair shot. Continue to push, continue to excel, but also know that you're not alone in this fight. There's a growing army of allies ready to stand with you, to amplify your voices, to fight for the equity you deserve. To everyone listening, I urge you to see this not as a Black issue, but as an American issue, an issue of fundamental fairness, of living up to our highest ideals as a nation. Because when we stifle Black economic empowerment, we're not just hurting Black communities, we're hurting our entire society. We're missing out on innovations, on job creation, on economic growth that could benefit us all. The time for half measures and empty promises is over. We need bold action, sustained commitment, and a willingness to be uncomfortable as we dismantle systems of inequality that have persisted for far too long. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through countless small actions, through persistent effort, through unwavering commitment to a vision of a more equitable world. As Connie so powerfully reminded me, we all have a role to play in this fight for equity. We all have the power to make a difference. So let's use that power. Let's honor the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us by continuing their work. Let's create a world where the promise of equal opportunity isn't just a lofty ideal, but a lived reality for every CEO, every entrepreneur, every individual, regardless of the color of their skin. The road ahead may be long, but as Connie Johnson's story shows us, it's a road worth traveling. Together with courage, with compassion, and with unwavering commitment, we can create the change we wish to see in the world. The journey starts now with each one of us.
Will you answer the call? Will you stand up for equity? Will you be part of the solution? The future is in our hands. Let's build it together. Let's make it equitable. Let's make it just. Let's make it a future we can all be proud of. Thank you.